Morning. As you can see, yeah. If you could you give me one of them? Share it with your friends and family. Share it around the Geordie Nation. And we'll get going. Now, yes, Newcastle lost, but was it expected? We'll get onto that later on in the video. We will get onto that later on in the video. However, I've just been looking through some. By the way, apologies for my hair. My hair's doing a wild hair day. Just been looking through the chat that I got, the chat rooms that I'm on, and there's one thing that I need to get I need to clear up. I've seen it for the last few months into last season, and it drives this huge, big. It's like almost putting a wooden spear into a vampire in my gut when I hear, and it always happens at round, and you get and I know the timeline for when it happens. It happens around about 10:30 at night when fans have got nothing else better to do. But you come in, and you've got those that will come in and say it for a reaction. If you're not a proper Geordie, if you're not a proper supporter, if you don't come from the location, if you don't come from Newcastle, you're not a proper fan. If you don't come from, the right, if you're not within the north, you're not a proper fan. As you can see, I support the Toon. I've supported the Toon for quite some time, and obviously I don't have a Geordie accent. So, does that mean that I'm not a proper fan? Does that mean that I'm not a proper fan? Regardless of how long. I've been up to Newcastle more than once. And I support them. In fact, I probably supported them all the way back in the nannies without me realising I was supporting them. That's how long. When Alan Shearer was just beginning his career. That's how far back. But the fact that I hear, and it is so often done, and it's done in subtle jest, but that subtle jest is being echoed all the way through, and you get people thinking that they're funny about saying it, and they really aren't, because there are admins in there that are half tempted to just go, I could tear you out of there just for being a twat. For me as a human being, as watching watching a chat room just talk absolute shite, for me it's bonkers. You can support the Toon, you can be a Newcastle fan. I know that there are different folks on there who are a Newcastle fan, and they don't come from the area. They don't come from Newcastle. Some of them don't even come from the north. They live further back. They live out of the Toon. We have international Geordies. We've got Geordies from everywhere around the world that support Newcastle, and it's the same thing for whether you're a Man City fan, whether you're a Liverpool fan, whether you're a Man U fan, whether you are even a Tottenham fan. And even for Tottenham fans, at the moment, it's looking, it's shaky at best, because clearly they've had some really bad runs. However, when supporters, when your own support base sit and say you aren't a true Toon fan, it's laughable. It's a joke to sit and say, by the way, they don't support what? Because I don't show up for every game. What, because I'm not sitting in the chat and chanting my manager in every 5 minutes. Fans, to be clear, fans are entitled to their own opinion and views about their club. Managers are seasonal at best. They're like the leaves on the tree that will fall off when their managerial skills are no longer working for the club. It's not just going to be for a month, 2 months, and then you're going to see these wonderful results with delusional red eyes. You're not going to get that. You need, for any successful business, you need consistency, and football is a business. Whether Newcastle fans like to hear this or not, this is a business. It's not a place where once upon a time, this used to be, we used to be so sentimental about how this was supposed to work. We were sentimental about the likes of Shearer. Shearer was a god, and still is. He's deemed a god. He gets a statue at St James's Park. But every time you see a player that has even the potential or even the expectation of Shearer, all of a sudden they jump on the bandwagon. Oh my God, he's the next Shearer. Oh, he's going to be wonderful. Shearer was in a league of his own, but he's a unique carbon of his own. He had the talent, he had the strategies, he was, and he still is. He's still got all of those things that made him who he was at his prime. We will have players that will come in, but for that to happen, we also need evolution. And that word evolution scares a lot of the old fan base. They're scared of that word. When you say evolution, all of a sudden everyone goes, oh, I can't do that. We can't do that. No. Keep the old manager, because having the tried and tested is better than moving forward with something that we don't know. And I'm like, you're going to stay stuck like that forever? We were like this. Were you like that with Cabbage when he was in charge? I've asked that question, going, were you like that with Cabbage? And I got a very sneaky suspicion that some of them were. It was like, oh, it'll get better. It will get better. And it didn't. It got progressively worse till we were almost at the point of relegation. When you're in 15th in the league and all of a sudden everyone's going, oh, it'll get better. And it doesn't. It doesn't improve. It doesn't get better. So, and as a supporter of this club, by the way, if you've seen the leaked the 26-27 shirt, it does look like a barcode. I mean, Adidas, respectfully, what the hell is that shirt? I mean, it'd be difficult for me to go into a shop with that shirt, because I'd be scared to be setting off I'd be setting off the alarms in the shops. All shops be setting off going, by the way, there's an item not been scanned yet. I dare anybody to scan themselves across that thing, because honestly, it does need a revamp. It looks terrible. I'd rather stick with this shirt, to be fair, because at least you know what this is. Damn. This is my a rant to a degree, because there are so many fans believing that they're okay with the tried and tested, but won't dive into, I wonder what success really genuinely does feel like. What does consistent success feel like? Because if they had a taste of that, and it was real consistency, not just the illusion of what it could look so good, but if we had a manager that wasn't doing sign languages for Miss, can I go to Lou, please? Because I don't want to see this anymore. I mean, that's Eddie Howe last night, and this is where we navigate into last night's game for me. Eddie Howe was in the first half both managers were doing them. Eddie Howe was doing an impression of Student putting his hand up and going, Miss, can I go to Lou, please? I need to go because I don't want to see the shit show. And we were like, we didn't want to see the shit show right from the start of the season, Liv. But you weren't listening to the fan base, to the ones that really see how shoddy this can be. Eddie Howe's tactics from start. Now normally I give Pope criticism where it's needed, and there's been a lot of criticism for him. But last night he did fight to keep the ball out of the goal, even though he lost the fight and 2 went in. So I do give him credit. He is getting some credit, not a lot, and I do mean Pope is getting the credit, not Eddie Howe. But I still remain Eddie out for the same reason that these tactics don't work. You've got a manager who is, he's still not being. He won't admit defeat. He won't sit there and go, look. Even if he sat there and said to the like, I need to go. I'm not serving this club purposefully enough. The rightful thing is for a manager to go, I don't think I'm good enough. That my purpose is, I'm serving the club well enough if I've got all these. If he can see that this isn't good enough and he's driving them into relegation, we remain 11th. Newcastle remain 11th. In the second half, Man City. Now Pep decided in the second half to do sign language for the washing machine cycle, saying, look, I'm afraid I'm probably going to need to put the kits in the washing machine. So if we can order a washing machine cycle, that would be appropriate. I was like, look, so we've got Eddie Howe doing Miss, I need to go to the loo. Pep, on the other hand, was doing washing machine cycles and doing impressions of Spit the Dog. Followed by a WWE sponsorship of how many ways can we go. It was a combination of Strictly Come Dancing, or should we go Strictly Come Hoodie, followed versus how many ways can I take an opponent down, and the ref do fuck all. The ref, terrible for both sides, because and by the way, we didn't also know that we were going to get mascots via Smurfs. So the 12th man must have been the Smurfs, because they were doing incredibly well for Man City, even though they didn't play. It was a very good, by Man City. It was a very good display of how to defend and how to keep. When your midfielders were defending their midfield. Newcastle, on the other hand, just went, oh shit, I don't even know where my midfield is. We had no clue. Ours just went off and went, by the way, we'll just leave it alone, shall we? Cut. Man City were able to cut through Newcastle like a knife in butter. And it was just too easy. I felt good about that, to be fair. I had to look through mine. And did I say that Man City were going to get 2 goals? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Could Newcastle stop themselves from scoring? No. But in some ways, that's a good thing. I generally did. I thought about changing that scoreline to 2-1 and didn't. And do I regret it? Kind of. I was very sure that I'd got 2-1 in there, and then realised when I went back I hadn't. But I still got the points because it was 2. It was 2 to Man City, so still got the points. However, we still have the likes of Everton, who are improving, by the way, and we've still got to play Aston Villa again, and we won't beat Aston Villa. It's just a matter of how long can the board keep this going. If I had a message for the board, it is sack Eddie now. Do it now. Just be ruthless. Have the courage of if you wait till the summer to get rid of him, then a new manager has to. Don't get me wrong. Yes, will a new manager have to deal with what he's got? Yes, he will. But at least he will have a chance to be able to make significant changes. And the ones that are already new, like Voltemada, the players that get a lot of slagging off it. Elanga gets a lot of slating. But do you know why Elanga gets a lot of slating? Because his strengths are not being used, are not being utilised, or he's playing out of position. And sometimes when you play players out of position, they don't cope well, and that's the reason why they play shite. If you play the players to their strength, it works. When you try to do tactics like Eddie Howe is doing, which is trying to utilise in positions where players aren't flexible, you have these fans will see through them and go, the player is shockingly playing bad when they're not. And I hate to break down the illusions of the happy clapper crew. And there are happy clappers and bedwetters, if you want to be deemed a bedwetter. But I'm a realist. I'm a realist. I'm not in either camp. I don't see myself in either camp. I just see myself as a realist. For Eddie Howe to change that game up, I have to see. For me to see, I have no rose tint glasses on when it comes to football. I just see a game for what it is. I don't jump on the bandwagon of going, oh my God, he did it again. I just don't. It's pointless. It's a pointless exercise and go, oh my God, he did it again. Yay. What the fuck? Give me consistent results in winning. Give me consistent results in winning and maybe I'll head in that direction. But unless I get consistent results, if it's only going to be inconsistent result, then my position stands. It was a good win for Man. By the way, it was a good win for Man City because Man City took their time to break down Newcastle. They took their time. And they broke them down. And it was a very, very, very. It was end to end. Both cities. I mean, both clubs went end to end in both halves. And that's the kind of game you need Newcastle to play. You need them to go end to end because then you get a really, really good 90 minutes. And fans didn't start leaving until 10 minutes before the end. And that's on both sides. So you've got Man City leaving. You had Newcastle fans leaving. Is it something you want to see? Not always. But it is what it is. So I will leave you with those thoughts, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and by the way, see you next time in any chat I'm in. Take care.